Miss Rima Yacoub is a Jordanian jiu-jitsu athlete. Born and raised in Amman, she grew up with a love for sports. She took part in the Global Sports Mentorship Program, which is an initiative from the United States Department of State. Miss Yacoub is the current director of the Reclaim Childhood program in Jordan. Thank you for joining us today, Miss Rima. And can you please briefly talk about Reclaim Childhood, its mission, and the people it works with?
So for us at Reclaim Childhood, our mission is mainly to create safe and inclusive spaces for refugee and local girls in Jordan in order to play sports so they thrive through playing sport, working with coaches and building community. So basically we work with 200 plus girls each and every year, both in Amman and Zarqa. We work with Jordanian girls, Palestinian, Syrian, Iraqi, Somali, Sudanese, Yemeni, a little bit Egyptian as well. So we work with girls from different communities, irrespective of their background.
So, what were some ways that Reclaim Childhood adapted when some sectors in Jordan started opening back up after the long lockdown due to COVID?
Okay, so I would like to mention that since we recruit women from the same communities around our girls, we managed to continue working in a way or another with the girls even throughout the lockdown. The coaches kept in contact with them, and they made sure that they stay active and they stay part of our programs. Now, later on, after they first opened, even that not all sectors were open and we were not able to practice sport, our coaches maintained contact and started going out on walks with our girls in safe streets in order to just make sure they're doing good, that they all that they need is met, and to stay active as well. Now, later on, when we were able to operate on fields, we had to break the groups and have less girls in each group. So we still had all our participants, all our 200 plus girls in the program, but we had to divide them into different groups so that we commit to the maximum limit that was allowed for us. In order also to make sure that the girls still have access to as much programs as before, we offered online training as well. Now, as for the in-person training, we made sure that we always have sanitizers, we always have masks, that all the girls are committing to wearing their masks in the bus, in the field, and we used to sanitize all the time. And we made sure that every single person on the field commits to social distancing. For example, we had the soccer season. We made sure that there was no contact and that training was different, but still as effective.
So you previously mentioned that the people that Reclaim Childhood works with is a diverse community. So how do they feel that the country's COVID response was in regards to them? If any of them got sick, were they treated the same way that other Jordanian sick people were treated?
So let's say that in general, for the entire population at the beginning, there was a lot of uncertainty. Jordanians or non-Jordanian, we were all like really scared about what's going to happen, what would happen. So if we are to go back to the beginning of the pandemic, although we had really little numbers, but the hospitals that actually received cases were the government hospitals, and they knew, and we made sure that they know at that point of time that whether you're Jordanian or non-Jordanian, you would get access to COVID treatment in these hospitals. Now, later on, as the situation changed and even private hospitals started receiving cases, and the hospitals in general got overwhelmed, they shared the same concerns that they share each and every day, because you know that not all individuals get the same access to healthcare. And we always say that if you do not get the same access to healthcare, the same access to education, then there is a question mark on social justice. So again, their concerns are similar to day in, day out concerns that if we get sick, like any kind of disease, where would we go? Can we access private healthcare? it's really really hard. Going to public hospitals, would they get the same treatment or the same healthcare as non-Jordanians? As Jordanians, we faced some issues, even non-COVID related. So there were some concerns due to COVID, and there will always be concerns, honestly.
So you just mentioned social welfare and our justice system. So what are some human rights issues or concerns regarding these girls and women in their communities that have surfaced through COVID? What are some gaps that we have in our social welfare system?
Well, so the economic situation for everybody, is really messed up now, especially for marginalized communities, the more vulnerable communities. But we always say that the ones that are most affected are the most vulnerable, and here we speak about women and children. So as for the economic situation, women are now undergoing more and more pressure to earn a living, and at the same time, it is really harder for a woman to get an opportunity, a work opportunity, and there are like many restrictions to start with in terms of women employment, and not all jobs, especially in a conservative community, are okay for women to take part in. So the economic situation, there is domestic violence in homes in Jordan, and you can just imagine, with all the pressure, with all the uncertainty, with all the economic pressures as well, you can just imagine where it went, like the domestic violence. So it's tough. With the pandemic situation, these gaps just became more clear to all of us.
So you talked about how Reclaim Childhood works with coaches that come from within the communities that they are serving. So what are some ways that you ensure the coaches' well-being, and what's sort of the criteria that you have when selecting these coaches?
Okay, so of course, like the coaches are from the different nationalities, from the same communities. We interview them, and we get to know them, and we do all the check related to their background and what they do. So we ensure that they are aware of their responsibilities. They are aware of the all child protection policies. They know how to deal with children, and they are really close to the surrounding, to their environment and to people around them. And this is like our main strength, that these coaches, and we call them also community facilitators, are really trusted in their communities. And this is where us as an organization, as a whole, we gain the trust of parents, because in Jordan and in different communities in Jordan, it is hard for the girl to leave her house without being accompanied by her father, maybe her brother, even if a little one. But with us, she gets on the bus, and the coach is before her on the bus, and the mother or the father can directly contact the coach. This is, I would say, one of our main strengths.
So you briefly mentioned domestic violence and home abuse. So how does home look like for these girls? Are they subject to a lot of domestic violence and physical abuse? Do they have access to internet, especially now? And how do they keep up with their school?
Let's address first domestic violence. Now, I don't have announced published data in terms of domestic violence for the past year, for 2020 specifically, but in 2019, the reported cases of domestic violence were 7,000 cases they reported. So just imagine how many more cases there are that were not reported. With all the pressures of COVID, domestic violence increased. So just put a number and multiply it. So there is domestic violence and all kinds of violence, honestly. It includes verbal, sexual, physical, emotional abuse, all kinds of abuse. We can't deny it. It's a fact. Now, even like some organizations and the official organizations, they try to address these matters, but you can imagine, even throughout the pandemic, the pressure on the military, the pressure on the official organizations, on the public organizations that are concerned with these matters. Addressing such matters faced also some issues. Now, in terms of access to technology, from not only from what we hear from them, but out of our personal experience, because we had online programming as well. If there is a house, for example, in Zarqa that has five children, and they all go to school, they might have only one smartphone for the father or for the mother in order to be able to access online education. So we can say that education in general in Jordan throughout the past year and a half has been affected, even if in private schools. So just imagine how it is for public schools and even for UNRWA schools, because children in their homes, they do not have the facilities that they need in order to access education similar to all other children.
So this question might be a little off topic and a bit more abroad, but what's after school for these girls? Do they have a chance of going to university, or is it just kind of the traditional marriage and kids?
So it's multifactorial. Honestly, we have early marriages for sure, and they do not even finish high school. Some of them do not even finish high school. So how are they to go to university? They get married, then they lose their chances. It's very rare for a girl who gets married at an early age to continue her education in university. I would like to also address the fact that even if you finish high school, but you're non-Jordanian and you want to access university, the fees are really high, even in public universities. So if you're Jordanian and you want to go to a university, but you come from a marginalized community, it is really difficult for you to afford going to your undergrad. If you're non-Jordanian, then even if you get like the highest grades and you want to go to a public university, you will have to go to the parallel stream. If you are to go to a private university, then you can imagine how costly that is. So the economic situation for Jordanians, and especially for non-Jordanians, is a great restriction. The acceptance of some families, even for their girl to go to continue her education, it is also an issue. So not all of the girls go to university, and later on they might be, even if they go to university, they might have to choose specific disciplines. They might not be able to join workforce. So it's like a big circle and a big loop.
So, how do you envision Reclaim Childhood when the sectors open after COVID?
So we would get back to like operating like we used to in the past, to have like all the girls we want on one field, because we would feel safe. We want to expand to different regions. We want to have the field full of girls that actually see they have other opportunities, that they have a choice. And sport is not a luxury. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity, and it can be a career.
So, for everyone who doesn't know, Reclaim Childhood is one of the community's engagement opportunities offered to King's Academy students for the summer. So, why should King's Academy female students choose to volunteer with the Reclaim Childhood and not any of the other opportunities listed?
Because we are grassroots. Female students of King's Academy, probably they had different opportunities. And it might have been by coincidence, honestly, because privilege is a matter of coincidence. So you, as a student in King's Academy, have to be the coincidence of another girl that might not have had the same chance as you did. So I do believe that being with girls from the different backgrounds, from the different communities, is like would be an amazing thing for the student herself, and would be amazing also for our girls, because you would be able to share your experiences with them. You would be giving them a lot of what you know, a lot of your knowledge, and a lot of your time. And this is like the minimum that we can do out of our social responsibility.
So, for the people that can't volunteer with Reclaim Childhood for any reason, what are some ways that they can help fulfill your mission without directly volunteering with you?
The most basic thing is raising awareness about girls' right to play sport, girls' right to practice all basic human rights, honestly. They can always be part of any fundraiser. They can always help in any kind of remote programming. They can even help in suggesting other programs that can be helpful for the girls as well.
Thank you so much, Miss Rima, for sitting for an interview today. I really appreciate it and I really benefit from the time that I spent talking to you.
Thank you, Sama. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you.